Alright. I forget what it is, has been added.
I feel as if...
That's it! I'm sure of it! Well, it would seem...
I've...
Now I gotta go look for the apple. There's still more I need to check. Wait, wasn't it? Yeah, okay. It's done now. Oh, that was just in here too. No, I doubt it, actually. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah! Huh? Aw. Well... Yeah, totally.
How unfortunate.
Celeste, what are you doing here? This warehouse is amazing. It has absolutely everything one might need to live a full life. From food to clothes to towels, there's an endless supply to choose from. I see that, but have you found anything related to the case?
Most unfortunate.
I knew you were going to ask me that. I thought talking about the warehouse itself might misdirect you, but I see it was pointless. Then did you find something? Very well, I will tell you, and only you.
Actually,
Last night I saw her here. Chihiro was in the warehouse. What, really?
indeed.
This was right before nighttime.
What are you doing out this late?
Oh.
I was just...
Are you planning to go exercise, perhaps?
What? How did you know?
Because I can see a blue track jacket sticking out of that duffel bag you're carrying.
Oh, you're right. Well, I'd better get... going. I'm kind of in a hurry.
She stuffed the jacket into her bag in a hurry. It was almost like she was trying to hide it. And just like that, she was gone and headed directly to the girls' locker room. If she hadn't broken a rule, none of this would ever have happened. You get what you deserve, I suppose. So apparently, she went to the girls' locker room late at night in order to exercise without anyone knowing. But the strange thing is, there was no trace of a track jacket or duffel bag Celeste said she saw Chihiro carrying. Which would mean the killer would have gotten rid of it somehow. Celeste, okay. Trial time.
I'm getting tired of waiting. Shall we just plunge right in? It's the moment you've all been waiting for! The class trial! You remember where to meet, right? Or on the first floor of the school. See you soon!
Begin the class trial, or it's about to begin? The red door is right through here. So is everyone ready or what? Am I blind or are we missing someone?
Yo.
Yeah, Coco's not here.
Huh?
And Coco is... You really don't remember?
Come on!
Kidding, I'm just kidding. How could I forget that little gun? She's a crucial part of the class trial this time.
What are you gonna do?
Okie I'll go ahead and drag her out here, kicking and screaming. Just one moment, please. And just like he said, a few minutes later, he reappeared dragging Coco behind him. I told him I didn't want to, but he forced me. I can't believe you would drag a girl around. Terrible, you're terrible. So now everyone's here, right? Okay, then hustle onto the elevator and let's get this show on the road. See you guys down there.
Let's go.
So shall we get going? It's time to find out who killed Chihiro. Chihiro Fujisaki. She was so gentle, so calm and meek. Nobody had problems with her. Someone made the choice to kill a girl like that. And the murderer is one of us. Someone's standing right here. Make sure it's right. We have to
It's true.
I gave a small, one last deep breath. I walked toward the elevator on shaky legs. With each step forward, I could feel my heart starting to race faster and faster. As soon as everyone was on, the elevator began to descend. I couldn't get a handle on my emotions, couldn't stop speculating. The steel box sank with heavy clunking sounds deeper and deeper into the ground. As we went deeper, the uneasiness in my heart grew bigger and bigger. The elevator was unaffected, however, and continued to descend without hesitation. Until finally, it came to a sudden stop. What do you think? Every decorated. Isn't it so fresh? Isn't it so exciting? Don't waste our time with stupid questions. Let's get this over with.
Very nice.
I gotta say, don't hate it at all.
Well,
Okay then, let's get this show on the road.
thrills,
Okay, we did it.
chills, kills!
Please find me. And so the curtain opened once again. A deadly judgment, a deadly deception, a deadly betrayal. A deadly riddle, a deadly defense, a deadly faith. A deadly class trial. Yeah, I want to save my data. Alright, I want to... let my bullets. Okay. Trial, all rise.
Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, your votes will determine the results. If you can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment. But if you pick the... I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate. Okay, then. So, first off, let's talk about the murder weapon!
Make your argument. Locker room gunfight.
Chihiro's fatal injury. It appears it was a head wound.
According to the... Certainly...
Why Chihiro?
Okay.
Chihiro's. It appears it was a head...
According to the Monokuma file, what kind of...
What instrument could it have been?
Dang it.
Shoot!
Oh, I forgot.
Chihiro's. It appears it was...
According to the Monokuma file, what kind of blunt... I bet it was an iron...
Pinterest.
Chihiro's. It appears it was...
According to the Monokuma file, what kind of blunt... I bet it was an iron... Interesting. That certainly would...
Why Chihiro?
Chihiro's fatal injury. It appears it was a head wound.
According to the Monokuma file, the killer used a... What kind of
Blunt instrument could it have been?
shoot?
Chihiro's, it appears it was...
According to the Monokuma file, what kind of blunt?
I bet it was an iron pipe.
No, that's wrong.
It was a dumbbell. There was a dumbbell. Wasn't there?
Can we agree that the object that dealt the fatal blow was the dumbbell? Found at the scene of the crime? It was covered in blood.
Yeah.
And there was nothing else at the scene that could have caused that kind of injury.
And the wound on the victim's head is consistent with the shape of the dumbbell. As far as I'm concerned, there's no mistake and no room for doubt on this one.
You looked at her head wound?
Yay! That's so creepy!
If you don't mind, I will proceed from here. Let's move on to discussion of the culprit. Although, I believe the criminal behind this heinous act is already quite clear.
What? For real?
Chihiro's killer is the fiendish serial killer, Genocide Jack.
Genocide Jack, the fiendish serial killer. Did he really kill Chihiro? A new element has been added to non-stop debates. Would you like to hear? For this debate, lines of white noise will appear to disrupt your reactions. Your truth bullets will disappear if they hit these lines, so think of them as obstacles in your debate. But there's a way to keep this white noise from getting in your way. Press the X button to attach the silencer, which you can use to shoot down the white noise. However, if you shoot an actual remark, the time of it will decrease. Okay. Genocide Jack, please.
The culprit is Genocide Jack. I'm sure. Case closed, as far as I'm concerned.
But that's impossible!
Why? What makes it
Well, I mean, there's just no proof for it.
No, it's wrong! I might know one reason he could be involved.
What?
I found this file while I was looking around the archive in the library. I guess it's some kind of confidential file the police put together about the Genocide Jack case.
What? That's kinda weird as shit, isn't it? What was something like that doing in the library?
The why of it is probably more trouble than it's worth. So let's forget about that for now. More importantly, it outlines all the specifics of every Genocide Jack case in exceeding detail. According to the file, there appear to be two defining characteristics in every Genocide Jack. The first is that a bloody message is found written at the scene of every murder.
Oh, that's right. Boob lust.
But more... More important is the other characteristic, and it's something that has never been made public.
Never made public? What the hell is it?
Why don't you tell them, Makoto?
If I'm not mistaken, it has to do with the position of the body. How the victim...
I got it! Apparently, in every Genocide Jack case, the killer suspends the body in a certain way. Other than the killer, the only people who know about this are the higher-ups in the police department.
However, Chihiro was most definitely... So, how did the culprit know about this when only high-level police officials were aware of it? There's only one logical answer I can think of. It's because the culprit in this case is the real Genocide Jack.
No fucking way!
You're saying Genocide Jack is one of us?
Yes, in fact, it's Toko.
What?
Genocide Jack's true identity is Toko Fukawa.
You lie!
What? Hey, okay, wait, hold on a sec. Toko has, like, bloodophobia or whatever, remember? What kind of serial killer is afraid of blood?
Is Toko Genocide Jack? The answer is yes and no.
Another riddle? Man, why is this gotta be so complicated?
It's a riddle for sure, but I feel like I understand it. What it means for Genocide Jack to be Toko, but also to not to be Toko. The answer is that she's just one person, but multiple people, right? Hangman's Gambit. I have no idea, honestly, though. I don't know.
Is this... I refuse to give up yet!
So H-I...
Now I understand! Is it because Genocide Jack has a split personality?
Is it because Genocide Jack has a split personality?
I think I read that somewhere in the file. They thought that the suspect might have... what did they call it? Dissociative identity disorder.
Oh, okay. But still, to go and say that about Miss Fukawa is...
Perfectly acceptable. Toko's strange behavior after seeing the body is proof enough that she has a split personality.
The one thing that shows Toko could have a split personality has to do with her behavior. She fainted, her behavior.
I got it! You're talking about how she started acting totally different than usual, right?
That's right. Think back. She fainted when she saw Chihiro's corpse, and then, when she woke up...
She was acting funny, that's for sure. That melancholy tone of hers completely disappeared.
Don't go assigning adjectives to my tone without permission.
Not to mention, once she regained consciousness and saw Chihiro's body again, she was utterly calm. In other words, within her is one personality that can't handle blood, and one that...
So when Toko trapped herself in her room, it's because she was scared of Genocide Jack?
I won't lie, let Genocide Jack have control. Oh, drive out the killer. Drive out the murderous fiend.
The reason she locked herself in her room wasn't to keep other people from getting in. It was to keep her other personality from getting out.
What?
Toko was afraid. Afraid of the murderous fiend inside of her. Of killing even more people.
How? Yeah. How can you know all this?
I do believe you misunderstood her. What she's trying to say isn't, how can you know all this? No. What she wants to know is, how could you tell them?
Huh?
Last night, just before Monokuma gave his motive speech, Toko and I had a strange conversation. She told me a most interesting story. She said a murderous fiend lived within her, and she was afraid it could appear and attack at any time. And that trepidation is what's caused her to have such a bleak attitude. Isn't that right, Toko?
This is all a lie. Right, Toko?
You said you wouldn't tell anyone.
What?
You promised! I can't believe you lied!
You have only yourself to blame. You came to me with your tragic little story. I didn't ask you to. This is the real world, not some romantic fantasy fairy tale. Besides, you broke your promise first. You said that as long as you were here, no matter what, you wouldn't let Genocide Jack kill anyone. But in spite of that promise...
Won't let Genocide Jack have control over her.
You said if I kept my promise, you would go out with me. That's the only reason I promised.
How many times do I have to tell you? I never said that, but you weren't able to do it. You just couldn't resist that rush you got from killing, could you?
I tried! I swear I tried to control it,
But your efforts were useless. What a disappointment.
I hate you.
Well, the opening act is nearly finished. All that's left is to hear from the person in question directly.
The person? You don't mean...
Toko's body suddenly lunged backwards. A huge thud echoed across the courtroom, but in the next second...
Well, hello there! Is it me you were hoping to see? Yes! What the heck? So you figured it out, huh? Well, whatever. What are you gonna do? I'm the ultimate murderous fiend, Genocide Jack! Or better yet, let's go with Genocide Jill!
What the fuck is this?
Toko, what happened to you?
Not Toko, that's a loser name, and what happened is a textbook split personality. So what if one of them happens to be a serial killer? You should turn a blind eye to one's faults.
So intense.
Like they say, sound in murderous mind, sound in murderous body.
This one is so different from the one we've come to know.
Yes, well, the world is composed of a front and a back, you know. Just like how every inning has a top and a bottom, or how in the depths of every truth lives a little lie. Behind every dark and gloomy...
Miss Jack, Jill, can I ask... Some more of us think you might be the mastermind behind our entire situation. What are your...
Well, I'll tell you! I am the mastermind of all masterminds! Just kidding!
Then it's not true?
Of course it's not true! How dare you try to link me to that creepazoid! And another thing, the police and government and society in the outside, they just let this idiotic, bloodthirsty maniac...
Sure, I'm a bloodthirsty maniac, but life is pain, right? To live is to hurt other people. It's a necessary evil if you want to survive. The act of living itself causes pain for everyone. Just kidding again!
This should be enough to convince you. There's clearly a motive, so there should be no doubt.
A motive?
Remember what Monokuma told us? If someone didn't murder and graduate within 24 hours, an embarrassing memory or secret would be revealed. Well, let's assume that Toko's secret was about Genocide Jack. If a secret like that came to light, Toko's life would have undoubtedly been forever ruined. So she had a very clear motive to never have that side of herself exposed.
Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. But sorry, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not the culprit.
Huh?
But I cannot imagine anyone other than you could murder someone in such a bizarre fashion.
Maybe so, but nevertheless, it's the truth.
Do you really expect any of us to believe you?
Yeah. I could never believe a word you say, you monster!
Status of the dead body.
Alibi, huh?
When you compare your past murder, the modus operandi
matches completely.
What more proof do we need?
Give it up. You killed her.
Sorry, but I didn't kill anyone.
You say that, but do you...
Perhaps if you had an...
Oh, an alibi!
When you compare your past with the modus operandi matches, what more...
Sorry, but I didn't...
You say that, but...
Perhaps if you had an...
Oh, an alibi, huh?
When you compare your past murders to this, the modus operandi
matches
completely.
No, that's wrong! Are the methods of murder really exactly the same? I think there's a slight difference between the Genocide Jack cases and this one.
Huh? How's it any different?
Uh-oh, you don't know? Well then, human garbage! I murder with passion and conviction. I consider myself a professional, and I have a very particular way of doing things. Imagine you go to a fancy Italian restaurant. They're very picky about the noodles, the sauce, everything. But what happened to Chihiro? It'd be like if that same Italian restaurant started using ragu or Chef Boyardee. This is no creation of mine.
Let me rephrase that. There are two clear differences. Shoot! I got it! For one, the cause of death is different. In the Genocide Jack murders, all the victims were killed the same way. According to the case file, they were all apparently killed with a pair of scissors. But Chihiro died from a blow to the head, right?
Ah, yes. That is remarkably different from the other murders.
Wouldn't it be strange for someone who kills the same way without fail to suddenly change their method? And there's more. One more conflicting detail.
That's right! In my recipe of murder, if the bloody message is the tortellini... then the arrangement of the body...
Could you please stop comparing killing people to cooking?
So, are you saying the other difference has to do with how the body was arranged?
So this is the other genocide Jack cases, all the other victims. He just used it.
I got it! Do you remember what the killer used to suspend her? They used some kind of rope to hang her up by her wrists.
What is your point?
Well, in all the previous Genocide Jack cases, something else was used to suspend them. Specifically, pairs of razor-sharp scissors.
And guess what? I used my own specially designed scissors for the murders and the arrangement. Like I said, I'm a professional. So, and you know what else? Big Mac said there's two differences, but he's wrong.
Big Mac? Are you referring to me?
Listen up, Big Mac. There's actually one more difference.
Huh?
My word, you really didn't notice? Take a look. There's a pattern there, just waiting to be discovered.
A pattern?
Figure that out, and it'll be plain as death why I couldn't have possibly killed that little lolly girl.
I got it! Is it because she...
I'm right on the money!
What are you talking about?
In all the Genocide Jack cases, all the victims had something in common.
They were all... guys?
That's right! The people I kill with such passion and conviction are all adorable little men! I can't believe I said it! I'm so embarrassed!
The hell is wrong with you?
I can't help it! I'm just a full-throttle boy-on-boy fangirl, and the mopey side of me just hates it. But now I'm on the fast track to becoming a full-fledged fan madam!
So, since Chihiro was a girl and not an adorable little man, you wouldn't kill her?
Would an Italian chef suddenly start making ramen just because they're both noodles? Don't be stupid. I have too much passion and conviction to cross that line. That's the absolute reality of the one and only.
We get it. You've clearly explained your hobby and your philosophy. But that's not all there is to it. It's a different matter entirely. When...
Quiet, lowly cur!
Lowly? Cur?
I would never kill for a reason as petty as mere survival. And if by some fluke I did, why would I bother with the message and arrangement? It'd make me the obvious suspect!
That does make some amount of sense.
Plus, whatever reason I have for killing, I would never leave out my prized scissors. Who would go out of their way to use a big, stupid, heavy dumbbell?
Maybe you used the dumbbell because you couldn't find any scissors in the school?
Any scissors? I don't just use any scissors. I only use my own set of high-class envy of the entire world scissors!
Okay, whatever. There still aren't any in the school.
Are you sure about that?
She's fully equipped!
That's right! So I can kill anywhere, anytime! Why would I resort to dumbbells or rope when I have my trusty scissors by my side? Go ahead, tell me I'm wrong! You can't, can you, gutter dogs, all of you! Not to mention, I have no clue how to tie a good knot! So rope's totally out of the question anyway!
I have no idea what's going on anymore! Could such a heinous villain really be innocent?
But the body really was suspended, right? And nobody but the police knew about that.
Yeah. That's why we figured it had to be the real deal and not some copycat killer or whatever.
Shoot! Here's my answer. Byakuya, it's possible you could have found out, isn't it? You'd have no problem gaining access to classified government documents or internal police records. Plus, you'd already looked through the Genocide Jack file before this all happened, hadn't you?
Are you saying Mr. Togami did it?
Then, the reason he pushed the theory of Genocide Jack being the killer so hard was he wanted to pin the crime on her.
So, he rearranged the scene to disguise it and make it look like the adorable glasses man was behind it all? Oh, I'm on fire!
Well, Byakuya, what's your response? I see. So now the suspicion falls on me. Then I must ask, when would you say I began acting suspicious? Surely you must have an answer.
Looking back and thinking about it now, the way you were acting right before we discovered the body was a little strange. You wanted to go to the girls' locker room right away, right? But since you're a guy...
I should have naturally thought of the boys' locker room first. Is that what you want to say? The victim was Chihiro, a girl. Hence why I said we should check the girls' locker room.
Nothing strange about that, I'd say.
On the contrary, there's something very strange.
Okay then, what's so strange about it? Go ahead, share with the rest of the class.
There was a clear contradiction about why Byakuya just said he didn't make it clear.
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body. But he was acting weird.
If you're presented with the opportunity to check... That's a natural reaction!
The victim was Chihiro. So, of course, I would suggest we check the girl.
There was no time. What's so strange?
You wish you'd taken me with you. So, you said Byakuya was acting, but he was acting weird.
If you're presented with the opportunity to check... That's unnatural!
The victim was Chihiro. So, of course, I would suggest we check the girl's locker.
There was no time. What's so strange?
You wish you'd taken me with you. So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body.
Shoot!
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body.
Shoot!
So, you said Byakuya was acting kind of weird before we found the body. But he was acting...
If you're presented with the opportunity, that's a natural reaction.
The victim was Chihiro.
No, that's wrong. I'll tell you what's so strange about that. Because up until we actually discovered the body, we couldn't have known who the victim was. So your claim that you went to the girls' locker room first because Chihiro was the victim doesn't hold up.
I see. That's a good answer, I must admit. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. But your reasoning is still too weak.
Huh?
What's wrong? Is that it? Surely you've got more than that. Go ahead. Show us. What's the matter? You're not finished already, are you? There must be more to it.
There is. I think.
There is more to it. Think about it. We've the proof you're looking for.
Oh? Proof that I'm the culprit, you mean?
What? The difference between... Cases? You want me to explain it again? When I want to kill, I use those same scissors. But Chihiro, it was some kind of...
That's right!
Then there must be something...
Hey, Byakuya. I've never seen
that rope before in my life.
No, that's wrong. Actually, I'm pretty sure you have seen it before. Because, you see, that rope, or should I say, that extension cord?
What? An extension cord?
Byakuya, you've used the extension cord in the library more than once, haven't you? And the same extension cord that was in the library all this time went missing after the murder. And there's no way someone who uses that extension cord as much as you do wouldn't discover that fact.
And Byakuya must be the one who took the extension cord. I can't imagine any other possibility.
That's really what you think? Then your conclusion is something like this? I killed Chihiro in the girls' locker room, then hung her up and wrote that bloody message. I intentionally made it look like Genocide Jack was behind it. Is that about right? What's wrong? I asked you if you think that's what happened.
Hell yes, that's what happened. So that's it, right? Byakuya's the killer.
I don't disagree with not disagreeing.
He kept calling this a game, right? So he'd be totally willing to do something like this to win.
Sorry, but could we hold on just a second? I think we need to talk about this a little more.
Do we really need to? We've already decided who did it.
I know, but still, there's something that's still bothering me.
Is that right? And what, pray tell, is still bothering you? I killed her in the girls' locker room. Specifically, I dressed it up to make it look like it was the work of a homicidal psychopath. What about all that bothers you?
I got it! You say you killed Chihiro in the girls' locker room, right? But are you sure about that? Isn't it possible that the murder took place somewhere else?
How disappointing. What kind of question is that? Even in the world of disappointments, this is a true letdown. She was found dead in the girls' locker room. There is absolutely no question about that. How could the scene of the crime have been anywhere else?
Well, I think it's entirely possible that she was killed somewhere else, then carried there later, along with the rest of the murder scene.
The rest of the murder scene? That was awfully specific. Please tell me you have a reason for saying all of that.
I believe I do.
Hey! Don't just move on without permission! What do you mean she was killed somewhere else?
Come on, Makoto. If there's any chance the murder took place somewhere else, let's see the proof.
I got it! The proof that she was killed somewhere else is the poster that's hanging in each locker room.
Your proof is some posters?
The poster in the girls' locker room was a picture of a big boobed supermodel. But don't you think that's kind of strange?
Oh, you're saying that maybe the posters were switched?
And there's one other thing I noticed about the locker rooms. You know what I'm talking about, right, Sakura?
You're referring to my protein coffee, aren't you?
Protein coffee?
While I was in the girls' locker room earlier, I spilled some protein coffee on the carpet. But I noticed that after the murder, the stain had been totally scrubbed away.
I got it! In fact, I found it on the boys' locker room carpet.
That's definitely the stain from my protein coffee.
Then, does that mean that the carpets were switched too? But why would anyone do that?
To move the murder scene from one locker room to the other. It's certainly plausible, don't you think? What? In other words, in order to completely swap the scene of the crime, the blood-stained poster and carpet were moved along with the dead body. By doing this, the killer was able to change the entire...
Huh? Why would they go through all that crap? Then how did Chihiro get in the boys' locker room in the first place? To get into the locker rooms, you have to swipe your e-handbook across the card reader device. But Chihiro's handbook should have only allowed her access to the girls' locker room. She had no way to get into the boys' locker room to begin with.
No, she did have a way, and I can tell you what it was.
I highly doubt.
Shut up! I'm telling you, I know how she could have done it.
Is it really possible? Could Chihiro really have gotten into—
I've got it! Shoot!
Is it really possible? Could Chihiro really have— gotten into the boys' locker room?
I've got it! She must have hacked her e-hand. She was the ultimate programmer, after all. I'm sure that would have been no problem for her.
No, I don't think that's... She used the thing that was...
Huh? What?
I'm talking about Leon's handbook, of course. If she had that, she could get into the boys' locker room no problem.
Is it really possible? Could Chihiro really have gotten into the—
I've got it! She must have hacked her e-handbook.
Shoot!
Is this really the end for all of us?
I refuse to give up yet!
Is it really— Could Chihiro really—
About Leon's handbook, of course. If she had that,
she could get into the boys' locker room no problem.
Is it really possible? Could Chihiro really have gotten into the boys' locker room somehow?
I've got it!
She must have hacked. She was the ultimate. I'm sure that would have been... No, I don't... She used the thing that... Huh?
What? I'm talking about Leon's handbook, of course. If she had that,
she could get into the boys' locker room no problem.
Is it really possible? Could Chihiro really have gotten into the boys' locker room somehow?
She must have hacked her. She was the ultimate. I'm sure that would have... No, I don't think that she used the thing that would... Huh?
What?
I'm talking about Leon's handbook, of course.
No, that's wrong.
No, I don't think Chihiro used Leon's handbook.
Why not?
Because Leon's handbook was broken.
Oh. Well, then, yeah, I guess that'd be pretty impossible, huh?
I am struck silent by how quickly you gave up.
Plus, isn't there a regulation against using someone else's handbook?
Actually, the rule states that loaning your handbook is prohibited. It says nothing about borrowing one. In other words, you could borrow a dead person's handbook all you want, and you'd be safe.
Yup. Hit the nail square on the noggin.
Of course, if it were broken, that wouldn't make any sense anyway.
So then, she must have hacked hers like I said. She used her ultimate programmer skills and...
Psst! You can't fix an e-handbook. The instant you open one up, a security...
So, if she didn't use Leon's handbook, and she didn't modify her own handbook...
Maybe Mr. Naegi's initial assumption is just... wrong?
It seems like there's no way she could have got into the boys' locker room. So I guess so.
Okay then, I vote for Byakuya.
Hold on a second. I agree with you, though. I think you're on the right track.
What the... You finally decide to open your mouth and that's what you've got to say? There's no way she could get in the boys' locker room, right? So...
Why are you so sure she couldn't get in? There's still one other way she could have gained access.
What?
What are you talking about? What other way is there?
Well, to explain that, why don't we take a little break from the trial? I'd like you all to come see something.
Wait! Just what do you think you're doing?
Don't worry. This'll make the whole trial more exciting. I'm sure that thought must please you.
Huh? It'll make things more exciting? Well, all right then. I declare an official class trial recess.
Huh? For real?
Now then, what is it you want to show us? It better not be boring or I'll be very unhappy.
Oh, I have no doubt it'll meet your lofty expectations. So, shall we go?
The girls' locker room?
I'd like... Be sure to examine the...
No, wait!
It's...
There... No. So...
What?
Chihiro was... a guy?
Oh, what? You guys didn't know? Heck, I knew that right off the bat. Chihiro Fujisaki was totally a guy.
He was a cross-dresser? Oh, I'm really on fire! I wish I had killed him!
So that's what Kyoko wanted to show everyone, huh? Interesting. Yes, that certainly does make things much more exciting. Now let's ride this wave of excitement back to the courtroom and get back to the trial. Ahem. I do apologize for keeping you... We've all just learned of the shocking revelation that Chihiro was actually a boy. Let's pick up from there.
Yes, well... I don't know his reason... And because the victim was male, he would have had no problem gaining access to the boys' locker room.
Assuming his handbook did, in fact, list his gender as male, then yes, that would be true.
Of course his handbook said he was a boy. He dressed like a girl, but he was a boy through and through.
So then, there should be no issue with Makoto's initial assertion. The victim was killed in the boys' locker room, and was then later moved, and the killer could have easily used Sayaka or Junko's handbook to get into the girls' locker room.
So Chihiro really was killed in the boys' locker room?
I still don't understand the motive for moving the body, but yes, that does seem plausible.
Well, I must admit, I did find it rather odd. I knew he felt a little off. There was a certain incongruity to his female body.
This is the most titillating situation!
So now everything has been connected. All the mysteries have finally become clear.
Okay, well, connected or clear or whatever. We still think you're the killer, remember?
Very interesting.
He's off in his own little world.
What about you, Makoto? After everything we've learned, do you still think Byakuya's the killer?
Well, without a doubt, Byakuya is the one that made Chihiro's death look like genocide, but I think he might not actually be the killer after all.
What?
But he just seems to be too easygoing about all this. Like he's enjoying us solving the mystery. The way he's acting, it makes it seem like it doesn't have anything to do with him.
And you think that might be because it doesn't have anything to do with him?
Plus, the evidence he left behind was a little too... how can I put it? Overt. He consciously chose to use the extension cord, knowing it could connect him to the murder. At least, that's how I see it. And Byakuya, when you found out the murder took place in the boys' locker room, it seemed to rattle you. And then again, when you found out Chihiro was actually a guy, if you really were the killer, that stuff wouldn't have had any effect on you.
So that's your thinking, huh? Well, it's fine. I guess I'll mark it as correct, for the time being.
Mark it as correct?
He's right. I just happened to come across the corpse in the girls' locker room and decided to alter it.
Are you fucking with us right now?
No, I am not effing with you right now. I'm telling you the truth.
Well, I find it very hard to...
Go ahead. Find it very hard to believe. You're free to be executed along with the rest of us.
If you're really telling the truth, then why? Why do you do that to his body?
My reasons hardly matter right now. Uncovering the culprit is much more important, wouldn't you say? Now then, if it wasn't me, who was it?
Well, I don't think...
We're seriously gonna keep going? We're all good, aren't we? I thought it was clear Byakuya did it.
No, I'm with Makoto. If there's any doubt whatsoever, we need to explore every possibility. Because if we're wrong, we all die here.
That's true. Very well then. I'm with you too.
Damn straight. Count me in.
Do you not have a mind of your own?
Of course I do. What am I, an ant or something?
Anyway, let's discuss this all as a group one more time. We still have time to make our decision.
That's very true.
Our lives are all on the line.
Excellent. Then shall we resume our game of hide and seek?
I got it!
Isn't there a single clue that might lead us to...
Well, clues are one thing. Did nobody get...
I'm sure if someone saw the...
Perhaps someone saw the victim. Yeah. All we...
It's over.
It's all... You want to know who saw the killer. And it's not like they're just gonna... Game over, man!
Yeah! No! Not game over!
Isn't there a single clue that might...
Well, clues are... Did nobody get a...
I'm sure if someone saw the kill...
Perhaps someone saw the victim at some...
Yeah.
All we need right now is any
kind of new info.
It's over. It's all over.
You want to know who saw the killer. And it's not like they're just... Game over, man!
Yeah! No! Not game over!
Isn't there a single clue?
Well, did nobody get...
I'm sure if someone saw the killer...
Perhaps someone saw the victim at...
Yeah.
All we need right now is any kind of new info.
Shoot!
Isn't there a single clue that might lead us...
Well, clues are one thing, but did nobody get...
I'm sure if someone saw the...
Perhaps someone saw the victim...
Yeah. All we...
It's over. You want to know who saw the killer.
And it's not like they're just gonna turn themselves in. Game over, man! Game over!
Yeah! No! Not game over!
Isn't there a single clue that might lead?
Well, clues did nobody get a... I'm sure if someone saw the...
Perhaps someone saw the victim at some... Yeah. All we need right...
It's over. You want to know who saw the killer?
And only the...
No, that's wrong. I believe someone else did see the victim before he was murdered. What do you think, Celeste?
Now that you mention it, yes, I did see him.
Huh? Really?
Oh, but I suppose only Makoto knows about this. The rest of you had no idea, did you? That is why you're all making such ugly noises.
Whatever! Just hurry up!
It was last night, right before nighttime. I saw Chihiro in the dormitory warehouse. I saw him stuffing a track jacket into a duffel bag. And then, I assume, he headed off.
A track jacket and a duffel bag? But we didn't fuck it, see.
And but
first of all, we know he was on his way, so next we have... Why did he choose...
What do you mean this? I got it! It matched the one...
So, the killer was wearing the same blue tracksuit as him?
No, that's wrong. Hold on a second, Mondo. What did you just say?
Huh? What'd I say?
When Celeste testified a few minutes ago, she said... She never said anything.
What are you? You just...
Hey, Celeste. What color was Chihiro's tracksuit?
as a matter of fact, it was blue.
And before we began the trial, did you tell anyone that?
The only one I told about any of this was you.
Then, Mondo, how did you know what color Chihiro's tracksuit was?
Because I just... I'm sure he saw the clothes at some point in the investigation.
No, that can't be it. The bag and clothes were surely disposed of by the time we began our investigation.
Then the only reason he could have known what color the tracksuit was is if he saw Cherry with it before he died! That's the only possibility! Cherry? Are you talking about Chihiro? So, how about it? Did you see the tracksuit or didn't you?
Just by chance. I just happened to see it last night. He walked past me, and he was carrying the tracksuit in his hands.
No, that can't be it either. According to Celeste's testimony... When Celeste noticed it, Chihiro made a point if you just ran...
There was a certain turning point that maybe you didn't notice it, Mondo, but you tend to refer to men and women differently. You only call guys dude. For girls, it's chick. And after he was killed, you happened to refer to him as dude. Once I picked up on that, it occurred to me that Mondo knew something we didn't.
You notice such a tiny detail?
Are you a witch? She's a witch! You're positively frightful!
No, not nearly as frightful as someone capable of murdering a friend.
Mondo, was it really you? Did you really kill Chihiro?
I didn't kill anyone! You've been all over me, judging everything I say, putting words in my mouth. What gives you the right to treat me like a goddamn criminal?
Yeah! He would never do something like that! This is a false accusation!
It's true. My reasoning on that is pretty shaky.
That was fast.
Well, this does present us with a problem. It seems we are all out of leads.
My time has nearly come. That's what my little ghost friend is telling me.
Oh yeah, that reminds me.
Really?
It had to.
Shoot! I got it! We know Chihiro's handbook was missing from the scene of the crime, right?
For a fact.
For a fact indeed. I was totally sure I'd found it.
Then it must hold some clue about the culprit, right?
Well, that's what I was hoping. But it's busted. It won't even turn on.
I imagine the culprit broke it to get rid of any evidence after the murder.
That's odd. I didn't think the handbooks were quite so fragile.
You're right. They're not. They're totally waterproof and shock-resistant. It would take an awful lot to break one.
And yet, this one does appear to be broken, as is Leon's, sitting useless in the main hall. For all your confidence, that is a remarkably high failure rate.
How?
I got it! You already told us before.
You remember? Then I'll whip.
Why? Why do you keep accusing him?
Mondo and Taka had an endurance contest in the sauna not too long ago, remember? And for the contest, Mondo just so happened to keep his school uniform on. But little did he realize, he'd also left his handbook in one of his uniform pockets. And when it was all over, Mondo discovered that taking your handbook into the sauna could easily destroy it.
No, wait, I don't accept this!
Let's test Makoto's assertion. If what he says is correct, then Mondo, you broke your own handbook.
In other words, if Mondo's handbook, then that proves that what—
Well, my goddamn handbook works just fine!
No, that's wrong! Mondo, the handbook you have right now, is it really yours?
The fuck is that?
The broken handbook that was in the— isn't that one actually yours?
What the heck are you talking about?
What I mean is, I think Mondo swapped his handbook out for one that actually works. I think he took Leon's handbook and after all, Monokuma said himself that—
That's right! The punishment itself.
So then, the broke, which would mean that—
The killer is you! First, let's take a... Last night, Celeste saw Chihiro in the warehouse, correct? At the time, she was... That something was a blue tracksuit. You can confirm this, right? With bag in hand, she made her way, but... Simple, because she was really a he. Which is why he was able to use his own e-handbook to gain entrance to the boys' locker room. Once inside, he met with someone there. And it seems likely that the killer grabbed the nearby dumbbell. And that's where the... The killer is you! The killer is you! Which is why the killer hurried to try and hide the act. First, pulling up the bloodstained carpet. Then, removing the bloody post. And finally, his handbook was necessary. After you... And that's exactly how the killer did it. They changed the layout of the boys' and girls' locker room in what you might call a crime scene switch. That could have been the end of things, but no. He used the cord to string up Chihiro's lifeless body. Then, using the victim's own blood, he left a grisly message there at the scene. And around the same time that Byakuya was putting together and just as the killer expected, isn't that right, Mondo Arata?
Wait! Where's your evidence? You need evidence! Without any proof, you can't pin any of this on him! Show me some evidence! You're wrong! I won't listen! I refute you! False! Show me some evidence! I won't listen! False! I refuse to vote! Show me some evidence! You're wrong! I won't listen! I refute you! False! Show me some evidence! I won't listen! False! You're corrupt! I refuse to vote! I refute you! False! You're corrupt! Show me some evidence!
This should prove it! If my thinking so far is right, Mondo must have replaced his broken, in which case...
Bro!
I got no choice, man. After hearing all that, I gotta just... give up. Go ahead, Monokuma. Ask for the gun.
Roger that!
Wait! Hold on!
No waiting! Time for the moment we've all been waiting for. Who will you elect as the Blackened this time around? Will you make the right choice? What's it gonna be? What? Unbelievable. Hey, What?
I'm sorry. But... That's right. I want to change.
Hey,
Yeah, that's right.
Correct.
Don't make me repeat myself.
I just... Don't fuck with me!
No.
Honestly. There is nothing to be done.
I see.
But...
What's...
What?
What the heck? Damn it!
That's enough. In the name of my family.
Well, anyway, like I was saying, this is a pretty good spot. Yeah, a really good spot. Anyway, isn't it amazing how that girl went and killed someone before things even had a chance to get boring? Once things really get moving, it'll...
I know, but I've had it. Okay. Huh? Huh? But... Oh.
So then...
How about that? Impossible.
Well...
I'm right?
You called for me, so I... Yes! Aha!
Could it be...
Let's see. Isn't it wonderful?
Listen up! Ba-bum, ba-bum.
So then...
Too bad! What's up?
Most unfortunate.
It would seem...
Watch out!
What?